Hey, this is Alex Kubasek from ConvertSource. I've got something really big for you guys today. It's going to be a little bit of a different format. It's going to be a little bit more kind of ad hoc. It's going to be a little bit more personable. It's not going to be so in your face. It's going to be a little bit more laid back. It is the holiday season after all. And we're going to be talking about something that is kind of pissing a lot of people off in the space today with digital marketing and digital messaging and things of that nature. So I really want to kind of draw it out for you guys. I want to point it out. I want to spell it out. I really want to make it known to you folks so that you can start to change your content marketing strategy, because we are upon the new year. And I think that it's going to be really beneficial for a lot of you folks. And it's going to be very eye-opening to a lot of you who are watching courses, listening to other people, listening to gurus and things like that, because at the end of the day, you do need to have your own voice. You need to have your own message. You need to have your brand. And it's really easy to get lost in the shuffle with a lot of these people. So today we're going to be going over a lot about this and really how we're going to be able to help you kind of craft out and carve out your own voice and your own message and not be so by the book whenever it comes to digital marketing. So stay with us.
3, 2, 1.
When you want your leads and sales on autopilot
and to accelerate your business,
you come to The Source. The ConvertSource Podcast with Alex Kubasek. Let's go.
Hey, what's going on? Okay, so today on the show, I really want to point out for you guys, like I said in the introduction here, I want to point out for you guys really where I think a lot of marketers are going wrong. Now, by no means do I consider myself to be a self-proclaimed expert. I just been through it enough to know kind of what I like as a consumer, what I can't stand, what pisses me off. Because, of course, anybody out there who is a seasoned digital marketer, a seasoned content creator, really seasoned in the digital space at all, you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about today. And, before, no more cloak and dagger. The biggest thing that pisses me off today is that there are just mind-numbing pieces of content out there. Right. So whether it's a video on an ad, whether it's, a sales letter, a landing page, a video sales letter, whatever it is, anything that is trying to convey a message on the digital space these days is just 99% of it's garbage. Let's be real. Every single second you're scrolling through either TikTok or Instagram or Facebook or Snapchat, there are just tons of messages that are just hounding you, and they don't offer any value, right? I think we've come too far. We've wandered too far away from what really matters. And what really matters is value. What really matters, and last week, whenever we were on the show, we were talking about getting attention to be and how to get attention to create your own niche and carve out your own niche instead of really just kind of playing it so by the book with some other person's niche that thought of it, created it. And this is kind of, I guess, a little bit of the fuel of that attention fire. And really it's because you need to have your own message. You need to have your own brand. You need to have your own style. You need to have your own everything. I understand the adages out there that say, the good ones, they copy, the great ones, they steal. I get it. But at the end of the day, everybody is a little bit different. So we need to take that into account. Go ahead, steal the idea, steal this show if you want. But do me a favor and just season a little bit of your own on there because people want to know you. And if ever there was a time where somebody was like, oh my gosh, I just heard that exact same thing from the other guy, that's kind of like the nail in the coffin. But going back to like the base of the show today, mind-numbing content, the ad waves, if you will, are littered with useless crap. They literally are flashy. They've got stuff flying all over the screen, really just to entice you to click. Now, as an advertiser myself, I understand that you've got to have, some different things on the screen to set you apart, right? some different things on there that people are going to be like, oh, that's cool. Or those colors, with psychologists saying there are certain colors that make people do things. I understand all that. I understand that there's a lot of theory and science and a bunch of rigmarole that goes into a good ad. But at the end of the day, you also have to think, what am I clicking on? Right? What the hell am I clicking on? I just watched some guy or some person with pink hair talking to me, and I honestly can't remember what they said, but I clicked on it because they had pink hair, right? Believe it or not, the majority of us do click on stuff like that just because. And I'm kind of getting over the just because mindset because there's no value in it. When I deal with a client or I deal with somebody that I want to do business with, it's because I want to do business with them because I believe in their message. I believe in their value. I believe in what they're saying. That's gotten lost. You've got a million and one apps, a billion and one apps that are literally being jammed down your throat all day, twice a day, and 7 times on Sundays. It's too much. There's too many messages out there. Advertising has become so expensive because the majority of the ad waves out there are producing garbage ads. There's no value there. And of course, it's funny because the supply and demand, the way that we know supply and demand is if supply is high, costs are cheaper. But it seems like more often today, even if there's more space to put your message, advertising is still expensive. So it's not like the traditional supply and demand method here. And so when you think about it, you're spending an astronomical amount of money with probably what is a subpar ad because we have to follow the guidelines of today, and it has to be something that's practically lit on fire to get attention. And why does it have to be lit on fire? Because there's a million and one other advertisers that are lighting stuff on fire to get attention. And you also have to remember, it's not just your competitors that you're competing with. Because, and if that's truly what you think, it's because, and you haven't watched enough of this show. I'm sorry, you just haven't watched enough of this show. And you need to go back and you need to watch all the other episodes. I think there's like 23, 24 at this point, because we only just started this a couple of months ago. But you're not paying attention because it's no longer just B2B or B2C marketing, right? It can't be. And, those of you who disagree with me, feel free to put it in a comment section around here somewhere. But we lost our way. We've wandered too far from home. We've wandered too far from value. I remember, and this is a perfect example. Those of you who started out in the OG days of Facebook advertising, you'll know what I'm talking about. Relevancy score. And for those of you who are a little bit newer and might not have had the hardship of a relevancy score, believe me, it was truly a dark time. Relevancy score basically said when you're running an ad on Facebook or Instagram, you have an audience, right? Same exact stuff as you have today, except now it's the ads manager instead of the power editor, et cetera, et cetera. This relevancy score would be a number from 1 to 10. And if your message, so your primary text, your ad copy, your headlines, your image, your video, whatever it was, if it was relevant to the person inside of that audience, inside that ad set, then you would have a high relevancy score. Because that means that, okay, the message is relevant to the person I'm targeting, right? Very simple. But if it wasn't, or even if it was sort of, it was, toward the bottom end of things. So you either had a 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, 1 being the lowest. The frustrating part is that Facebook's algorithm never really even knew. Why? I mean, anybody who works for Facebook or Meta or whatever they call themselves these days could probably go to war with me on this because, they want to defend their algorithm. But guess what? That metric is gone. Relevancy score is gone. It doesn't exist. It hasn't for few years, I think. But it doesn't exist anymore. And it's because it never really measured the actual efficacy of an ad. And so when you think about it that way, there is still a human component that needs to be relevant and prevalent inside of digital marketing. And that's where content comes from. And that's where content comes into play. Of course, everybody's always heard content is king, blah, blah, blah. But do you know why content is king? The reason being, and you could think that content is king means that you have to pump out 1,000,001 blog posts or 1,000,001 videos or 1,000,001 ebooks, PDFs, whatever. That's not true. If you had just one piece of content that hit it home for your ideal prospect because it was chock full of value and it truly got to their level and answered their question, their query, their problem, whatever they're facing, and they're looking for an answer, that is a good relevancy score. And unfortunately, Facebook's algorithm could not measure that effectively, because I've had some of the best ads that I've ever had that made some of the most money, that generated some of the best leads at like unconscionable CPAs or ROAS. And for those of you who might not know, CPA is cost per acquisition or cost per action. So whether they're buying or becoming a lead, whatever they're converting on. And ROAS is just return on ad spend. It's like the digital version of ROI. But some of those campaigns got a 1 relevancy. And some other ones that I've had that I thought were really good, or excuse me, that were really bad, they got a 10 relevancy, but they didn't convert. So like, that's why that metric is now gone. So kind of, coming back full circle, we have to focus on what actually truly matters in terms of the attraction, the qualification, and the conversion of our ideal prospects. And the beautiful thing is that with digital marketing, we can leverage these platforms to do it on a huge, massive scale. So it's kind of like 1-to-1, but also at the same time, it's like 1 to a billion. You know what I mean? So I implore you, focus on the value. Set yourself apart with value. And something that there was a conference a couple of months ago, or maybe 6 months ago, but they were talking about Facebook's new updates in terms of the best way to target, because we all know that Facebook's targeting is just not that good anymore, right? The entire ecosystem of advertising is getting diluted because of all of this craziness where people think they need to light stuff on fire in order to get attention. And so they focus more on the lighting it on fire versus actually delivering value. And so basically what you have now is a watered down version of what advertising online used to be. And it's a shame, because a lot of us that were there from the beginning, we had to struggle and to create valuable content. Now it's just basically you just go onto motionarray.com and you put on a couple of fancy transitions and some captions, and you've got you sell a million things. But let me ask you this though: are you getting repeat customers from that? Are you getting repeat business? If you're looking for leads, are those people continuing to do business with you? If you're selling stuff, are they continuing to buy from you? Because you don't build a business on one sale. You build a business on repeat business. So it's not the first sale, it's not the second sale, it's the third, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth, the seventh, the eighth, ninth, 10th, etc. Because that means that person sees value in what you are doing. And that is why value is so crucial in terms of how to convey your message and what to convey your message with. Because if you don't, you're just back in the pool with the rest of them, competing against the rest of them rather than dominating because you've gone against the grain. Yeah, you can add some captions in there because, with these algorithms, nothing auto plays anymore. So you have to basically turn the volume up and all those icons that, are all over the place now, because you're not only competing against other people in your space, you're not only competing against cat videos, you're competing against algorithms too. So now we have to have captions. Now we have to have this. Now we have to have different sizes and formats and all of this other rigmarole that honestly, in my opinion, just distracts you from what is the real meaning of advertising. You guys have probably seen Mad Men before, right? So the Madison Avenue guys back in the 50s, 60s, 70s. Don Draper, who is the big ad man, And his thing was, what is the number one thing that advertising is supposed to do? Happiness. It's supposed to make it so that you feel that whatever you're doing is okay. Now, just because of the rules, regulations, and laws today, you're not going to be able to advertise anything that's, less than couth, on these platforms. So you don't really have to worry about that per se. But whatever you say to your audience has to make them feel something. That's the key point there. Now, of course, there's a lot of different theories out there about fear, logic, and gain, and those are all proven, basically creating content that incites a little bit of fear so that they're like, oh my gosh, if I don't do this, I'm going to miss out. Logic, oh, okay, so yeah, that does actually make sense. So yeah, I'm going to click. And then what are they going to get out of it, right? And so some of the best sales copy ever, some of the best marketing copy ever is based on those three principles. You can call it ADIA or whatever you want to call it, whatever term they have for it these days. Do yourself a favor and simplify it a little bit. Stop worrying so much about the rules and focus on the value. Of course, don't go on there cursing up a storm and, doing all this crazy stuff and, make sure you're wearing clothes and pants preferably. But focus on really their need. Put yourself in their shoes. Feel their desperation whenever you're making content. Because if you do that, I promise you that you're actually going to get more, you're going to attract more attention. You're going to get more people to stay with you in business versus, maybe convert once and then leave. Because where's the money in that? There's no value in that. There's no metric to measure that. Something that we're extremely passionate about at ConvertSource is not just our client success and results, but their end users' success and results. That's really how you measure the success of a marketing campaign, not by the KPIs that you had on, Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or Snapchat or the next thing. Great. You got a 50-cent click. You got a, 5% click-through rate. Fantastic. Great. That means that it's relevant, right? Relevancy score. That means your relevancy is there. You're talking to the right people. You're saying the right thing. But is what you are actually delivering to them valuable to their needs, wants? Because whenever you do that, that means that their message is getting out to more people, their end user, to be able to help them seek some form of a solution for something. That is truly the value metric. That's truly what you guys should be basing your success on. Yeah, you can get ROAS for your customer, for your client. But what about the person that they are servicing? What if your client has a product that's less than, FDA approved, let's just say? What if, the supplement that they're pushing out there, what if it hurts somebody? You got to start thinking about the entire ecosystem of the sale, not just to a certain point and then call it quits and be like, all right, I'm a success. It's like resting on your laurels. There's no glory in that. There's no legacy in that. You need to be able to focus on the value that you are delivering so that that is the fuel that continues to basically charge and push the engine of value, of the ecosystem online. We've gone way too far out of the way. Literally so far that there are just apps just for app's sake. And you all know what I'm talking about. It's like the McDonald's principle of apps. You've got one that was like the first one in the game, and now they're so big. Then you've got a ton of other ones that are just like it. Buttons are in different places. Maybe they charge a penny less or $1 less or something. But they're like, all right, well, if this one is too expensive, all right, I can go to this one. And then I can go to this one. And I can go to this one. In a sense, that does deliver value because it's providing solutions for people that might not be able to afford that big time app, right? But how are you using that to deliver your value is the question to then deliver more value to your customer, to their end customer, etc. It's a ripple effect. Like I said in the beginning of the show, it's a ripple effect that we need to focus on. And so the other, big thing is like, think about commercials. Okay. Commercials are very pristine. People think that they cost millions upon millions of dollars to produce. And if you're spending that much money on creating a video, why? You literally have a better camera in this thing than 90% of the crap that you're going to buy off of Amazon. There's even little hookups that you can put on there to make it look even better. There's, microphones, etc. You don't need all of this crazy stuff to deliver value. Quite frankly, one of the biggest things that you could do is stumble through your video. I mean, think about how many times in this show I've said pissed off, or I've, had a gap word like as or or. Don't you think it makes us relate a little bit more? Makes it like we're having a conversation, makes it so that we're actually talking. That is how you deliver value. Because here's the thing, if somebody knows that there is a wall of celebrity up because it's so pristine, your content is so pristine, there's no mistakes, they're not going to be able to relate to you. There's no relevancy in that. The real relevancy score is how many people you convert, not if the message is truly there. Because whenever you look at it that way, the more people you convert, the message obviously is resonating well. So do yourself a favor. Do not be afraid to just flip this thing on and just start talking. Just start talking, because I guarantee you, you're going to, and by the way, you can cut it at certain points. You can do it on your iPhone. You can do it on an app, one of the millions that are out there. But you can really just start talking. Start with a topic. And really the thing that I tell clients and, pretty much anybody who wants to make a video is think about the most annoying things that people ask you. Think about, the constant repetitive things that people ask you about your business, your products, your services, things that you're just like, oh my gosh, I said this too many times. Do yourself a favor, say it one more time, but on your phone, publish it, put it onto a podcast, put it onto a YouTube channel, put it onto your website. That is your content marketing strategy. It doesn't have to be some crazy thing that's littered with different crap. Like, yeah, throw a little bit of SEO in there. Well, you're going to do that already, because whenever you transcribe it, and actually put it into like content on your website or whatever you use it for, there's going to be value behind it already. So do yourself a favor, just flip on your camera, not your camera phone. Good Lord, I just dated myself. But flip on the camera on your phone. And I did it again. I said flip. Open up the camera on your phone and just start talking. And take those topics that are mind numbing to you. Whenever people ask you questions, you're like, good Lord, don't ask me this again. And just rattle it off one more time. And if you have 10 things that people ask you, well, now you've got like 1,000,001 different pieces of content, because you can take that video and you can turn it into an ebook. You can turn it into a blog post. You can turn it into a use case. You can turn it into a published paper, podcasts, literally anything you can turn it into. So now basically now you have hundreds of different pieces of content and you're set for a while, basically. But the most important thing is that there's value there. You are answering the problem, or you're solving the problem that somebody's looking for the solution to, but you're doing it in a way that there's value that hits home with them. And no, you didn't have to use crazy fancy things on, motionarray.com or, all this crazy stuff that people are using just to get eyeballs. You can use it if you want, but just make sure that the value is there. We use it sometimes on our content. But the number one thing that we make sure that we do is that it is heartfelt, it is meaningful, and it is delivering solutions, aka value. So, I know that this was a little bit less than formal. I hope that you guys had a good time. I hope you enjoyed hanging out. Really start to think about your content, your messaging, the things that you say and do with your business in terms of H to H marketing. So not B to B, not B to C, H to H, human to human marketing. because then you're going to have people that relate to you more. The message will be more relevant. You'll get more conversions. You'll get more interest. You'll get more attention, and you will deliver more value, and you will keep more customers. So guys, thanks for hanging out with me. If you have any questions, support@convertsource.com. I really hope that you enjoyed today. I know that it was a little bit less informal. I hope you guys have a great holiday season. I wish nothing but the best to you and your families. Again, support@convertsource.com if you want to know what we're doing, if you want to work with us, if you need just a question answered, you want to be on the show, whatever, support@convertsource.com. God bless, be great, and thanks so much for being with us today, guys.
When you want your leads and sales on autopilot
and to accelerate your business,
you come to The Source. The Convert Source Podcast with Alex Kubasek. Let's go.